Hey everyone, in this video, we'll uncover the most valuable Abraham Lincoln wheat penny you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these Lincoln wheat pennies so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. First up, the 1919 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of those coins that stands as a fascinating piece of early 20th century American history. Struck over a century ago, it carries with it not only numismatic importance, but also cultural and historical significance. Since it circulated during a time when the world was just emerging from the devastation of World War I, while at first glance it might look like just another old penny, this coin is much more than that. It is a direct connection to the year 1919, a period of change, transition, and resilience in the United States. The obverse of this coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Introduced in 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth, this design was groundbreaking, as it was the first time a real person appeared on a regular circulating U.S. coin. The portrait shows Lincoln facing right, wearing his classic suit and bow tie. Above his head is the motto "In God We Trust," while the word "Liberty" is placed to his left. The date 1919 appears on the right side, just under Lincoln's bust. Because this example was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, it does not carry a mint mark below the date. Turning to the reverse, we see the original wheat ears design that gives the coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. The two stylized stalks of wheat curve upward on either side of the coin, surrounding the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above, the phrase E pluribus unum, meaning out of many. One reminds us of the nation's unity. This simple but powerful design emphasizes agriculture, strength, and unity, making it one of the most iconic coin designs in American history. The 1919 Lincoln wheat penny was struck from the standard bronze alloy used during this era, made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin weighs 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. That year, the Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these coins, with a mintage of over 392 million. This made the 1919 wheat penny one of the highest minted coins of its era. Because of such a high mintage, it is not considered rare today in circulated grades, but its age of more than 100 years ensures it remains desirable to collectors. Your coin is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading, very fine condition means that while there is moderate wear on the high points of the design, most details remain sharp and easy to see. On the obverse, Lincoln's cheek and jawline show wear, but his profile is still clear, and details in the hair and beard are visible, though slightly worn. On the reverse, the wheat stalks retain a good amount of detail, with most of their lines showing, although flattening is evident. The scratches mentioned suggest that the coin saw regular circulation and handling. Even so, for a coin minted over a century ago, very fine condition is still quite respectable. When it comes to market value, the 1919 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is worth more than its face value, but remains relatively affordable because of its large mintage. In very fine condition, the value typically ranges between 35 cents and $1 in today's coin market. If it were in extra fine condition, it might bring closer to $1.50 to $2, while an uncirculated example with original mint red luster can be worth anywhere from $15 to $50, and sometimes more if certified by a top grading service. Because your coin has scratches, its market value will likely fall closer to the lower end of that range, perhaps around 40 to 75 cents. Even though the standard 1919 wheat penny is common, certain era varieties can bring much higher prices. Collectors always look out for double dies, repunch dates, or off-center strikes. Coins with noticeable minting mistakes can command values of $50, or even hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and condition. For this reason, collectors often closely examine 1919 pennies under magnification. The historical context of this coin makes it especially interesting. The year 1919 was a moment of major transition for America. World War I had ended in November 1918, and the country was entering the post-war era. Soldiers were returning home, industry was shifting back to peacetime production, and the nation was preparing for the economic and cultural changes of the 1920s. When Americans used this penny in their daily lives, they were living through a period of optimism mixed with uncertainty. To hold such a coin today is to hold a tangible link to that era. For collectors, the 1919 wheat penny is a staple in completing a Lincoln cent collection. It is not considered rare, but because it is more than 100 years old, it holds significant historical and sentimental value. Many coin enthusiasts cherish it not for its dollar value, but for its connection to the everyday lives of Americans who used it during a time of recovery and change. In conclusion, the 1919 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in very man mark in very fine condition with scratches carries a modest market value, generally between 35 cents and $1. However, its true value extends far beyond money. It is a coin that tells the story of a nation moving forward after a devastating war, of a century-old design that continues to be beloved, and of Abraham Lincoln's enduring legacy on American coinage. For collectors and history lovers alike, this penny remains a meaningful and essential piece of numismatic history. Next up, the 1920 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is another fascinating piece of early American coinage history. Struck over a century ago, this coin is more than just a small copper piece. Represents the post-World War I era in the United States and the everyday economic life of ordinary Americans during that time. While not considered a rare coin, it still has strong collector appeal due to its age, historical background, and the enduring popularity of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This portrait was revolutionary at the time, as Lincoln was the first real person to be honored on a regular, circulating U.S. coin. In Brenner's design, Lincoln faces right, his profile strong and noble. Above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." To his left is the word liberty, and the date 1920 appears to the right. Since your coin does not carry a mint mark, it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place mint marks on its coins during this time. On the reverse, we see the classic wheat ears design, which gives the coin its popular nickname. The wheat penny. Two stylized wheat stalks curve upward along the edges, framing the bold inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the very top is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This design, simple yet iconic, reflects America's agricultural heritage and its unity as a nation. The 1920 wheat penny was struck in the standard bronze alloy of the time, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. The Philadelphia Mint produced an impressive mintage of over 310 million Lincoln cents in 1920, making it one of the most heavily struck years of the series. Because of this high mintage, the 1920 penny is not considered rare, but its age and historical background give it lasting collector interest. Your coin is described as being in good condition with some scratches. In numismatic grading, good is toward the lower end of the grading scale. A coin in good condition will show heavy wear, with major details worn down and flattening visible across the design. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait would appear heavily, worn with the finer details of his hair, beard, and facial features faded. The inscriptions remain readable, but they may show signs of weakness or blending into the coin's surface. On the reverse, the wheat stalks would be largely flattened, with most of their lines worn away. The words 1 cent and United States of America are still clear, but the coin's overall appearance is smooth from long circulation. Scratches on the surface further lower its eye appeal, though the coin remains identifiable and collectible. In today's coin market, the 1920 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark holds a modest value in good condition. Typically, such a coin sells for around 20 to 35 cents. Because of the scratches, your coin would likely fall near the lower end of that range. If the coin were in higher grades, such as very fine or extra fine, its value might rise to between $1 and $3. An uncirculated example with original red mint luster can be worth $20 to $50, with particularly well-preserved pieces fetching even more when certified by grading services. While the standard 1920 penny is common, certain varieties or errors from this year can carry higher premiums. Collectors look for double dies, repunched mint marks from the Denver or San Francisco issues, or striking errors such as off-center coins. Such unusual pieces can command prices ranging from $25 to several $100s, depending on rarity and condition. This is why many collectors carefully examine their wheat pennies under magnification. The historical context of this coin also adds to its appeal. The year 1920 was a pivotal time in American history. The nation had just emerged from World War I, and it was adjusting to peacetime life. The Roaring Twenties were beginning, a decade marked by economic growth, social change, and cultural transformation. This penny would have circulated in a world where automobiles were becoming common. Jazz music was rising in popularity, and women had just won the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment. Every 1920 penny spent in those years was part of a rapidly changing American society. Next up, the 1950 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with the S. Mint mark is another fascinating piece in the long-running wheat cent series. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, this coin represents not only the continuation of one of America's most beloved coin designs, but also a glimpse into the post-World War II years when the United States was growing rapidly and establishing itself as a world power. Even though the 1950s penny is considered common by collectors, its charm lies in its age, history, and place in the larger Lincoln wheat cent collection. The obverse of the coin carries the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. Lincoln's right-facing bust is bold and instantly recognizable. And although by 1950 the design had been in use for over 40 years, it remained one of the most admired coin portraits in American numismatics. Above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust." The word liberty sits to the left, and the date 1950 appears to the right. Just beneath the date is the small S mint mark, identifying the coin's origin as the San Francisco Mint. Turning to the reverse, the design is equally distinctive and simple. The coin features two curved wheat stalks along the sides, framing the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. The wheat stalks give the series its familiar nickname, Wheat Penny. Above is the national motto E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one. This design pays tribute to America's agricultural roots, while emphasizing unity as a guiding principle of the nation. The 1950s penny was minted in the standard bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. The San Francisco Mint produced a mintage of more than 118 million wheat cents that year, making it a plentiful issue in the Lincoln series. because of its large mintage and the fact that many were saved in rolls and bags by collectors at the time. The 1950s penny is not scarce. However, condition and color play major roles in determining its desirability and market value. Your coin is described as being in fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading, fine condition sits around the middle of the scale for circulated coins. A penny in fine condition will show moderate wear but will still retain most of its key details. On the obverse, Lincoln's facial features remain visible, though the high points, such as his hair and cheek, will appear flattened. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date with the S mint mark are clear and fully readable. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are worn down with much of the line detail missing, but the general outlines remain. The words 1 cent and United States of America are bold and fully legible. The presence of scratches adds additional wear and lowers the coin's overall eye appeal. But it is still a collectible piece. In today's coin market, the 1950s Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition is valued at around 10 to 20 cents. With scratches, the value tends to fall toward the lower part of this range. In higher grades, values rise modestly. Very fine examples typically sell for 25 to 40 cents, and extra fine pieces can reach up to 50 cents or slightly more. Uncirculated examples, especially those with original red luster, are much more desirable and can command values ranging from $2 to $10. Top quality certified examples, in mint states 65 or higher, can reach $20 to $40, though these are primarily sought after by collectors building high-grade sets, while the 1950s penny is generally common. Collectors do look for special varieties and errors from this year. Examples include repunched mint marks, where the S was stamped into the die more than once, leading to visible doubling under magnification. There are also occasional striking errors, such as off-center pennies, clipped planchettes, or die cracks. These errors can make a 1950s penny significantly more valuable, often bringing $25 to several $100 depending on the rarity and condition of the error. The historical context of this coin also adds to its significance. The year 1950 was a time of transition in America. The nation was entering a new decade of optimism and prosperity after the hardships of World War II and the late 1940s. The economy was growing. Families were moving into suburban neighborhoods, and the country was experiencing the beginnings of the baby boom. Coins like the 1950s wheat penny were part of everyday life, used in local stores, gas stations, and schools, quietly fueling the economy of post-war America. Collectors today often seek out coins like the 1950s penny because they represent affordable and tangible links to American history. While not rare, they are over 70 years old and serve as excellent entry points for new collectors who wish to build a complete Lincoln wheat cent collection. For seasoned collectors, higher-grade examples or varieties such as repunched mint marks provide additional challenges and excitement. Next up, the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny is one of the many historic coins from the first half of the 20th century that still fascinates collectors today. Struck during the Great Depression, this coin serves as a piece of American history, reflecting a time of economic hardship and perseverance, though not among the rarest in the Lincoln cent series. The 1935 penny remains a valuable collectible because of its age, design, and connection to the story of the United States. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse or front of the coin, we see the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. This design was created in 1909 by the sculptor Victor David Brenner and became the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person. Lincoln's bust faces right, his expression calm and dignified, symbolizing leadership and honesty. Above his head appears the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left of Lincoln is the word Liberty, and to the right is the date 1935, since this particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It does not carry a mint mark. Turning to the reverse side, we see the equally famous wheat design, which gives the coin its nickname, wheat penny. Two wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America above. We see the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This reverse design was intended to honor the nation's agricultural heritage while also symbolizing prosperity and unity. The 1935 Lincoln cent was struck in the standard bronze alloy used at the time, which was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin weighs 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 245 million pennies in 1935, making it one of the higher mintage issues of the decade. Because of this large production, the 1935 penny is not considered rare, but its value depends greatly on its condition and whether it has any special varieties or errors. Your coin is described as being in very fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading, very fine is a solid circulated grade, usually around VF22, VF30 on the scale. A coin in this condition shows light to moderate wear on the high points of the design, but all of the major details remain sharp and clear. On the obverse, Lincoln's cheek and jawline may show smoothing, but his hair and coat details are still visible. The inscriptions, including "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1935, are fully legible. On the reverse, the wheat stalks retain most of their outline detail, though the fine inner lines are worn down. The scratches lower the coin's eye appeal slightly, but overall, it remains an attractive collectible example. In today's market, a 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in very fine condition generally sells for 25 to 40 cents. Because of the scratches noted on your coin, its value may fall toward the lower end of that range. Coins in extra fine condition tend to bring 50 to 75 cents, while uncirculated examples with original luster are much more desirable. Mint State red coins from 1935 can sell for $15 to $30, with premium quality certified examples sometimes exceeding $100. Collectors also pay special attention to varieties and errors from this year. For the 1935 penny, one of the most famous is the 1935 doubled die reverse, where strong doubling is visible on the lettering 1 cent and United States of America. These are scarce and can bring values in the hundreds of dollars depending on condition. Other minting errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, or die cracks can also add significant premiums, often ranging from $10 to several $100s based on rarity and severity. The historical context of the 1935 penny adds to its importance. America was still struggling through the Great Depression, a time of widespread unemployment and hardship. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal programs were beginning to reshape the economy, and coins like the 1935 Lincoln cent were part of everyday transactions for millions of Americans. This penny may have been used to buy a newspaper, a loaf of bread, or a few pieces of candy, small but meaningful purchases during a time when every cent truly counted. For collectors today, the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny is a wonderful entry point into the hobby. It is affordable, easy to find, and over 85 years old, making it a true piece of history that anyone can hold in their hand. For those building a complete Lincoln cent collection, the 1935 penny is an essential part of the series. For new collectors, it provides a great example of how coins can tell the story of America's past while also holding tangible value. Next up, the 1947 Lincoln wheat penny is an interesting collectible from the mid-20th century, representing the post-World War II era in American history. While it is not considered a rare coin by most collectors, it carries both historical significance and nostalgic value. Many of these pennies still circulate among collectors today, and depending on their condition, they can fetch a modest but respectable price in the marketplace. Let us begin with the design. On the obverse or front of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. This design, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, replacing the more symbolic Liberty figures. Of earlier coinage, Lincoln's bust faces to the right, with a dignified expression that symbolizes his leadership during one of the most difficult times in American history. Above his head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left of Lincoln is the word Liberty, and to the right is the date, 1947. Since this coin was minted in Philadelphia, does not carry any mint mark beneath the date. On the reverse side, we see the well-known wheat design, which gave the coin its nickname, wheat penny. Two wheat stalks curve along both sides of the coin, framing the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the very top is the national motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. The wheat stalks symbolize prosperity, growth, and the agricultural roots of the nation. The 1947 Lincoln wheat cent was struck in the standard bronze alloy of the time, which consisted of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. This year's issue was not particularly scarce. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 190 million coins in 1947. This high mintage means that the coin is readily slow available to collectors, but condition and color can make a difference in value. Your coin is described as having a red color shade, but in dirty condition with some scratches. The color designation of red is important in coin collecting. Freshly struck copper coins appear bright red, but over time, most turn brown or develop darker toning due to oxidation. Collectors prefer coins that retain much of their original red luster, as these are scarcer and more attractive. However, dirt and scratches affect the eye appeal, which lowers the coin's overall grade and market value in terms of condition. Your coin is not uncirculated, and the presence of scratches and dirt places it in a circulated category. A 1947 wheat penny in good to fine condition typically trades for 5 to 10 cents. In very fine condition, values increase to around 15 to 25 cents. Extra fine examples may bring 30 to 50 cents. When we move up to uncirculated red examples, prices range from $3 to $5. While top-quality mint state red coins certified by grading companies can sell for $20 to $50 or more, depending on grade. Since your coin is dirty and scratched, its value will likely fall toward the lower end of this spectrum, closer to 5 to 15 cents in today's market. Collectors should also be aware of error coins from 1947. While no major double die varieties are widely recognized for this year, some pennies may show off center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchettes. Such errors can bring higher premiums, often anywhere from a few dollars to over $50, depending on rarity and severity. Carefully checking your coin under magnification could reveal interesting minting quirks that increase its value. The historical background of this coin also adds meaning. By 1947, World War II had ended just 2 years earlier, and the United States was transitioning into a new era of global influence and economic recovery. Coins like the 1947 Lincoln wheat penny circulated in a country experiencing growth, optimism, and social change. Each penny played its role in daily life, buying small goods like candy, newspapers, or even a ride on public transit. For collectors today, holding a coin from this time is like holding a small piece of post-war America in your hand. Even though the 1947 wheat penny is common, many collectors enjoy it as part of the complete Lincoln Cent series, which stretches From 1909 to 1958 for the wheat reverse design. Collectors often build full date and mint mark sets, and the 1947 penny is an essential piece in that puzzle. The fact that it can be acquired for such an affordable price makes it accessible to beginners while still being meaningful to advanced collectors who pursue high-grade red examples. In conclusion, the 1947 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark, large date, in red shade but with dirty condition and scratches, holds a modest market value of around 5 to 15 cents. While it is not rare, its importance lies in its history, design, and role within the broader wheat penny series. Coins like this remind us that even the smallest denomination carries a story of resilience, of history, and of the everyday lives of Americans in the years following. World War II. Whether kept as a part of a growing collection or simply appreciated for its historic charm, the 1947 wheat penny is a meaningful piece of numismatic history.